여기 오는 게 아니었는데.
タマコ、水彩画の準備してきたよな。
もちろんでございます、旦那様。水彩画の絵のことを水彩画の。
油絵の具に描いてくれないか。こんな天気の日には油絵か。うん、持ってこいだ。
Welcome to Kermode Uncut. There's a new film currently playing in UK cinemas called The Handmaiden, directed by Park Chan Wook, who made things like Old Boy and Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. And it's a terrific film. I really like it. It's kind of twisty, erotic thriller, sort of melodrama. And it's adapted from Sarah Waters' novel Fingersmith, which you may have seen done by the BBC. Fingersmith is a Victorian story. This takes the action and moves it to Korea in the 1930s, with Korea under colonial Japanese rule. And the film has gone down very well. I was just reading in Charles Gant's brilliant box office column that it's taken something like 548,000, which made it the third art house foreign language film this year to pass £500,000 in the UK after Elle and Tony Erdmann, so it's a big hit. And I was reading an interview in Den of Geek with Park Chan Wook, which said something which I'd forgotten about, which was that Park Chan Wook used to be a film critic. Now this fascinates me because a lot of people say, oh, you know, you're a film critic, do you ever think about making films? I said, no, absolutely not. I think they're two completely different things. I couldn't make a film, I wouldn't know where to start, I wouldn't want to. But there's a huge history of people who've gone from one area into the other. I mean, you think of Peter Bogdanovich or Chabrol or Godard or Truffaut or Paul Schrader. So there isn't a lot of interplay. Not as far as I'm concerned. I think being a film critic is one thing, being a filmmaker is something else. So I was very interested when Den of Geek asked Park Chan Wook if he thought it was a good or a bad thing that he had been a film critic before. So he said a couple of things. Firstly, he said, I was a film director before I was a film critic. And then he said he made a film, didn't do very well, so he went on to work as a film critic. Then he went back and made another film, and that didn't do so well either, so he went back to being a film critic. Then he made a third film, and that did do well. He could finally put being a film critic behind him. So they pushed him a little further and said, well, do you think it improved your filmmaking, the fact that you used to be a film critic? And he said this: I don't think there's much of a correlation between film criticism and filmmaking. If there's one thing I can say I got out of working as a film critic as a filmmaker, it's that when I do get bad reviews, I don't react emotionally to it. He went on to say, I don't think the experience of working as a film director would necessarily make for a better film critic, which pleased me enormously, just as having worked as a film critic didn't make me a better filmmaker. And he then ends on a wonderful point, which is really one of the reasons why I would never, ever, ever make a film. He says, there'd be nothing worse than a film critic trying to make a film, and it turns out it's a bad film. And then you have to come back and work as a critic again. You would have lost your trust with the readers, because if you're a bad filmmaker, they don't want to trust your reviews. And believe me, I would be a very, very bad filmmaker.